I'm Stacy Miller, 35 years old, and I thought I'd seen every shade of my family's favoritism, until that night. It was my parents' 36th anniversary, a grand dinner at a crowded Chicago restaurant buzzing with chatter and the clink of wine glasses. The table was long, packed with relatives, uncles, aunts, cousins, all gathered to celebrate love and family. Funny, I thought, how hollow those words sounded in my world. As always, the spotlight was on my sister, Noreen. She sat beside Dad, her perfect hair catching the soft light, her smile polished like she'd practiced it in the mirror. The conversation circled her like moths to a flame. Promotions, awards, compliments, it was all about her. I sat a few seats away, smiling politely, picking at my pasta. I'd grown used to this invisibility over the years. Noreen, the golden child. Me, the background character. I had stopped expecting acknowledgement long ago, but somewhere inside, a small piece of me still hoped. Maybe tonight would be different. Maybe they'd see me. When the laughter softened, I cleared my throat and said gently, "I've been reviewing the store's numbers lately. You could save thousands if you switch up the inventory and renegotiate with suppliers." For a brief second there was silence. Then Noreen laughed, a sharp, condescending sound that sliced through me. "That's cute," she said. "Stick to your spreadsheets, Stacy. I've got the real ideas." Few cousins chuckled. My cheeks burned. Mom waved a dismissive hand. "Sweetie, let's not bore everyone with numbers. Noreen's planning a big summer sale. That's what matters." Dad nodded, eyes fixed on Noreen. "Yeah, she knows what she's doing." I swallowed the ache building in my throat. My words, my effort, my years of financial support, all dismissed like background noise. I gripped my napkin under the table, fighting to keep my composure. Then Dad stood, raising his glass. His voice cut clean through the noise of the restaurant. "To 36 years of love and family," he said. Then his eyes met mine, cold and deliberate. "And to our pride and joy, Noreen. Honestly, we wish she were our only child." For a moment I couldn't breathe. The room went dead silent. Forks stopped midair. I felt every pair of eyes turn toward me. Noreen's smirk widened, triumphant. Mom didn't even flinch, just took another sip of wine, calm as ever. My heart pounded, my vision blurred, but I refused to give them the satisfaction of tears. I pushed my chair back slowly, the scrape echoing like thunder. "Enjoy your night," I said quietly, my voice steady despite the storm inside. I walked out. Each step echoed across the hardwood floor, louder and stronger, until I was outside in the cold Chicago night. The air hit my face, sharp and clean. For years I had been their afterthought, their fixer, their silent provider. But that night, that was the night I stopped being their daughter. The Chicago air bit at my skin that night, but the sting was nothing compared to the ache burning inside me. I stood on the sidewalk outside the restaurant, clutching my purse, hearing the faint hum of laughter still spilling from inside, the same laughter that had always drowned me out. For years I had been their safety net. Every month, $500 from my paycheck went straight to their struggling store. I managed their accounts after my own long workdays, fixed their taxes, saved them from penalties, and negotiated with vendors when Dad couldn't face the calls. They leaned on me completely, but never once thanked me. That night, standing under the flickering streetlight, I realized something simple but devastating. They didn't love me. They just needed me. When I got home, I sat in my quiet apartment, still in my navy suit, staring at my phone. My father's voice echoed in my head. "We wish Noreen was our only child." The words pulsed through me like poison. I could have cried, screamed, or begged for an explanation. But I didn't. Instead, I opened our family group chat, Mom, Dad, Noreen, and me, and typed, "I'm done helping with the store. No more money. No more advice. Good luck." My hands didn't shake when I hit send. The first call came within 5 minutes. Then Mom. Then Noreen. I didn't answer any of them. I watched their names flash across my screen, one after another, until the phone fell silent. The silence was heavier than I expected, But it was also liberating. The next morning, the guilt-tripping began. Mom's text. "Stacy, don't do this. Family sticks together." Dad's voicemail. "You're being childish. We've always done our best." Noreen's message. "Seriously? You're overreacting. Get over yourself." Each word confirmed what I already knew. None of them were sorry. They weren't reaching out because they missed me. They were panicking because I'd cut off their lifeline. Within days, their store started cracking. Vendors stopped delivering after missed payments. Late bills piled up. Their accountant emailed me by mistake about urgent financial issues. I smiled as I archived the message. Meanwhile, Noreen found her own way to lash out, publicly. On Facebook she posted, "Some people think they're indispensable, but they're just jealous and petty." She didn't mention my name, but she didn't have to. Family, friends, cousins, even co-workers started messaging me with awkward sympathy. It was humiliating and infuriating. I wanted to reply, to expose the truth, to remind everyone how many times I'd saved that store from ruin. But then I caught myself. That was the old Stacy, the one who needed to be heard, needed to prove her worth. The new me didn't need to explain anything. So I blocked them all. For the first time in my life, the noise stopped. No calls, no guilt, no pretending. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was raw, aching, and unfamiliar. But it was mine. And I promised myself I'd never go back. 3 weeks passed before I gathered the courage to visit Grandpa Henry. He was the only one in my family who'd ever really seen me. At 78, his memory was fading, but his heart was sharp as ever. When I knocked on his small wooden door that chilly Saturday morning, he opened it slowly, his face lighting up with a smile that reached his tired blue eyes. "Stacy, my girl," he said, pulling me into a warm, trembling hug. "You finally came." His living room smelled of old books and cinnamon tea, the same comforting scent from my childhood. I sank into the couch while he shuffled around, humming softly, preparing 2 cups. He looked at me over the rim of his glasses. "You've been quiet lately. What happened, sweetheart?" The question cracked something inside me. For the first time since that horrible night, the tears came. Not loud or dramatic. Just slow, heavy tears that burned down my cheeks as I told him everything. The dinner, the humiliation, the words that had shattered me. Grandpa listened without interrupting once. When I finished, he nodded, eyes glistening. "I always feared this day would come," he said quietly. "Your father, he's been blinded by pride for years. And Noreen, well, she learned to wear his blindness like armor." He sipped his tea slowly before continuing. "But you, Stacy, you're different. You learned to carry everyone without expecting applause. That's both your strength and your wound." I didn't know how to respond. I just stared at my hands, tracing the rim of my mug, trying to make sense of his words. Then Grandpa leaned forward, voice low. "Do you know why your father treats you the way he does?" I shook my head. "Because you remind him of your mother before life hardened her," he said. "You're thoughtful, patient, and practical. But he never knew how to love what he couldn't control." His words hit deeper than I expected. For so long I'd blamed myself, thought maybe I was unlovable, forgettable, less than Noreen. But now something inside me shifted. Maybe I wasn't broken after all. Maybe I'd just been trying to bloom in the wrong soil. Before I left, Grandpa handed me a small envelope. "Your grandmother's locket," he said. "She wore it when she started her first business, with nothing but faith and a small loan. You've got that same fire, Stacy. Don't waste it on people who don't see your light." I held the locket tightly as I walked out of his house, the cool metal warm against my palm. For the first time in weeks, my chest felt lighter. As I drove home, I looked at my reflection in the rearview mirror. Tired eyes, but a steadier gaze. The silence no longer felt like loneliness. Felt like space. Space to rebuild, to grow, to become someone new. That night, I opened my laptop and started writing a plan. Not for their store, but for mine. 6 months after visiting Grandpa Henry, everything changed again. My new venture, Miller and Company. Accounting had taken off faster than I'd dared to dream. I started small. Just me, a laptop, and a handful of loyal clients who believed in my quiet efficiency. But word spread quickly. Within months, I had 5 employees, an office space, and more work than I could handle. For the first time in years, I wasn't working to prove anything to anyone. I was working for me. Then one afternoon, as I sat reviewing invoices, my phone buzzed. It was a number I hadn't saved, but I knew it instantly, Dad's. I stared at the screen for a long moment before answering. "Stacy." His voice cracked on the other end. We need to talk." Turned out their store had collapsed completely. Noreen's poor decisions, unpaid bills, and ego had finally caught up to them. The bank was seizing the property. They were broke. For a moment I felt that old tug, the instinct to fix everything. To rush in, balance their books, pay their debts, and make it all right again. But that version of me no longer existed. "Dad," I said softly, "I warned you years ago. You didn't listen." He sighed heavily. "I know. We made mistakes. I made mistakes." His voice trembled, small and uncertain. "But you're our daughter. Can't you help us just this once?" The irony hit me like a bitter wind. 4 years I'd begged for their love. Now they were begging for my help. I wanted to be cruel. I wanted to remind him of every cruel word, every dismissal, every night I cried after being told I wasn't enough. But then I remembered Grandpa's words. "Don't waste your light on people who don't see it." So I took a breath and said, "I'll help you find someone to restructure your debts. But that's all I can do. I'm not coming back." He went quiet. For the first time I heard something in his silence. Regret. Real regret. A week later I drove by the store. The sign that once read Miller Family Market was gone. The shutters were down, the windows empty. Noreen's car wasn't there. Neither was Dad's. The place that had once drained the life out of me now stood as a hollow shell, a monument to pride, favoritism, and denial. I stood there for a while, the autumn wind tugging at my hair, and whispered, "Goodbye." That night I called Grandpa Henry. "You were right," I said. "They fell, but I didn't have to fall with them." He chuckled softly. "That's because you finally learned the hardest lesson, Stacy. Family isn't who shares your blood. It's who shares your respect." I looked around my apartment. Simple, quiet, filled with peace, and smiled. I had lost a family but found myself. And in the end that was the best kind of victory.